this is going to be a poorly edited video, and we just got to deal with it.
Friends and neighbors, my name is Matt Savage. I am your host for Mission Control, Houston's hockey podcast, and it's over. How'd your bracket do? Well, here's mine. 53%. Okay, just enough to not embarrass yourself, but not enough to win anything. I picked Carolina early in the season. Those of you that watch the show regularly may remember that. And the logic remained the same. I figured that the team coming out of the East was going to be less fatigued, and Carolina seemed like the obvious choice there. I figured Colorado would just be dinged up going into the finals, and LOL no. I figured the Stars would not roll over as quickly as they did, and LOL no. I figured the Oilers would give the Avs a hard time. Yeah, well, whatever. You see the results. If you're feeling brave, put your bracket percentage correct there in the comments, and you can dunk on me. That's fine. Now, you probably listen to a good show that has fantastic analytic takes about the Stanley Cup, and I'm going to let you do that because I'm not talking about the Stanley Cup as bizarre as it sounds. I recorded some stuff this past week. Let's take a look at it.
Welcome back to Mission Control, Houston's hockey podcast. Only I'm not in Houston. I'm in Kansas City for work. And if you're wondering, hey, Savage, why is there a giant badminton shuttlecock behind you? I am too. City's got to display things from time to time, right? I mean, we have the Saturn V rocket on display. That's basically the same thing, right? So I'm here for work. I figured I'd go around a couple of sites, but the reason this is relevant to you as a hockey fan is twofold. Number one, KC is one of those cities that gets mentioned as an outside possibility for NHL expansion. And yes, I'm aware of the whole article that says Bettman says that we're not expanding anytime soon. And yeah, I'll get into that too. But I want to talk about KC as their viability. But also, the Kansas City Mavericks are in the ECHL final. I'm going to game one, and I figured I'd talk about the vibe of the ECHL, at least for the finals. I mean, it was a $60 ticket for the finals, right? $80 if I wanted to get up against a glass, and I'm like, I'm not that invested, you know? But I figure let's talk about the viability of KC as a hockey town. Let's talk about minor league vibes. You know, as you know, I teach AP US history, and I am one of the, hang on, there you go, AP US history essay graders. Whenever the grading thing starts, it's always, or usually, first week of June. And what I do is I'm like, okay, does the city I'm going to, they have a hockey team. And because it's June, are they still in the playoffs? And I've gotten lucky twice now. Back in 2022, the Bolts were in the Eastern Conference Finals, and that was wild. But here in KC, so I started looking them up. Those of you that are Arrows fans from the IHL days, you might remember the Kansas City Blades. Well, they folded when the IHL folded. But the team they got and have had for, I don't know, a while, the Kansas City Mavericks, actually play in Independence, which I guess is Kansas City's answer to Humble. They're in the ECHL Finals. Things lined up where I was in town and didn't have a professional obligation for night one of the finals. And I figured, yeah, let's talk ECHL vibes. I gotta tell you, when I walk around town, and mind you, I'm walking around Kansas City, not Independence, so it might be different if you go out there. But if you just walk around Kansas City, you wouldn't know this place has a hockey team, you know? Lots of Chiefs merch like you would expect. A couple of Royals jerseys. A lot of stuff for Sporting KC, which is the dumbest name for a sports team ever, but the soccer franchise here, Major League Soccer. Which we know it's not the Major League, but, you know, whatever. Of course, it's a World Cup host city like we are. But anyway, no sign, unless you're actively looking like I did, that a hockey team is even in this area. And they're in the finals, and that sucks. Now, that having been said, the fans I saw there, because, my Uber got there right before doors opened to the arena, passionate, knowledgeable, good vibe, good energy, and have established some traditions. Unfortunately, one of them was the cowbell, and I think we've established how I feel about that. It's abomination unto the Lord. You might remember when Michel Petit talked to us a couple of months back with his Blue Line Slapshot initiative and his quest to bring the ECHL to Conroe, Shenandoah area, I think. I didn't check back with him, but anyway. And one of the things that he said during that interview, I'll link it to you in the show notes. How about that? Because I know I got some new subscribers lately, and thanks. But one of the things he said was, everyone's gotten better since the AHL left town. The ECHL is about what we remember the AHL being. AHL now is about what the NHL used to be. And the NHL, well, they're that much better too. And I got to tell you, when watching the game, yeah, absolutely. Now, mind you, it's the finals. So you would hope it's the two best teams of the league. But, yeah, I would agree with that assessment. Talking to the guy next to me, I was like, I didn't realize the East Coast League was this physical. And he's like, yeah, normally we're not, but these two teams have beef with each other and they wound up in the finals together. So, all right, cool. But everything was fantastic. The passes were crisp. Everyone was, skating well, like you'd expect at that level. The only thing that was subpar was the officiating, if I'm being honest. The Kansas City team, they won 6-0, so cool. If you go to someone else's barn, you want to root for their team. It's rude not to, Couple of things. Couple of traditions, like even the ushers are out high-fiving everybody for every goal. And, 6 goals. Everyone knew everybody, or like us, everyone knew the staff about that. Everyone was cool to me. Fantastic time. And the guy next to me, because I'm like, I said, what I said to you earlier about, I wonder if the Kansas City Blades were still around. He's like, oh, that's a long time ago. But yeah, he went to the Blades games back in the day, remembered the Arrows. And he's like, what league are y'all in now? And I'm like, we don't exist anymore. Oh, that's horrible. Oh, you got to get yourself an East Coast team because, I'm like, I've been banging that drum for a while. Vibes were great for the fan base that was there. And I'm not looking to, crap on them, but there were some empty seats. And it got me thinking, it's like, man, it's the finals. If you're not filling the barn for this, what are you doing, And I mentioned that. And again, I'm not looking to disparage anybody, but I'm looking at this going, okay. So when we look at, those news articles that claim to have some insider info that say, who the cities are for expansion. And no, in case you're wondering, I don't believe Bettman when he says he's not interested in expanding at this time. I think it means he wants to be wooed, but, So when we look at those newspaper articles from the supposed insiders, they'll say things like, oh, Atlanta and Houston are in the top contenders, but also, and then you get the ridiculous stuff. Austin and New Orleans might be contenders. And you're like, based on what? And Kansas City comes up. And, when I first heard Kansas City, I was like, that seems like too small of a town. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. My Uber driver on the way to the arena, and I didn't say anything about hockey expansion or teams or nothing like that. But she said, we act like we're a big city and we're really not. Oh, because we were talking about the Royals getting their new stadium and their district and all that with Hallmark money. So anyway, whenever I see these articles about who's going to be the next expansion team, my first thought is, okay, based on what? And it's time to start saying that about Houston. So first, let's talk about why KC, and then we'll talk about why Houston's in that conversation. Come with me, all right? All right, so why is Kansas City in the conversation at all? And here, let me get out of the way of the artwork here. But this is why. There you go, T-Mobile Center. That's why. Now, they built the arena looking to attract an NBA or NHL team, and there's not an NBA and NHL team here. So what pro sports do they have? Professional bull riding, and I didn't know that was a thing. And, Houston, you would think we would know there's such a thing as professional bull riding, right? But anywho, WWE, College Big 12. But, look, this thing got opened in 2007. It's only 4 years younger than Toyota Center, and we know the league wants a new arena in Houston. So when you see the pundits, and the pundits are talking about, Kansas City, they got an arena. They got an arena, but do they have an NHL caliber arena? And, I would think that the league wants somewheres new. So how viable is this? And look, I appreciate the mindset. If you build it, they might come. So let's build it and see what happens. But it didn't pan out for them, at least in terms of attracting a pro sports team. So, and I'm guilty of this. When I start going, here, I'll turn the gun on myself. When I start talking about, hey, when are we going to hear about some groundbreaking? When are we going to hear about land being bought? And the pundits are like, oh, hey, Houston's in the lead. Just like I say for Kansas City, and just like I say for Austin and New Orleans, I'm now going, based on what? Kansas City broke ground. They built the arena. Nothing happened. So, as much as I whine about, hey, where's the plan? When are we going to get something? When is Friedkin or any of the other supposed investors that are out there, when are they going to announce what their plan is? I don't blame them for not doing something without a commitment, because this is what happens, when things go sideways. I don't know. There may be some grand design. No one tells me anything. Like, I found out about the Bulls coming the same day you did. I don't know if there's a grand plan. And I'm frustrated that we haven't heard a grand plan. But there's also an object lesson in why we haven't heard a grand plan that I'm telling myself as much as I'm telling you, right? Look, I'm not an expert. I'm just the guy who happened to start making YouTube videos for Houston hockey. I never claimed to be qualified to do this. But the lesson here is Tampa Bay. Have you seen the stuff with the Rays? The Rays, like every other month, it's like, oh, we got a stadium plan. No, wait, it's this stadium plan. No, wait, it's going to be in Ybor City. No, wait, it's going to be in, on the other side of the bridge. No, wait, it's going to be in Tampa proper. No, wait, we don't have the funding. Oh, wait, we do. And there's so many announcements that, even as a guy who keeps up with stadiums, because I have an unhealthy fixation with them, I couldn't tell you where they're at with having a stadium. So if Houston's got something cooking, regardless of who the owner is, and they're not telling me anything, don't listen to me when I whine, because there might be a lesson here. On the way up here, I passed by, well, here, it's right there. Hold on. There's a rally house. Okay, so passing by the rally house, not a damn thing for the KC Mavericks. And again, they're in the finals. It's just like, you might recall when the Arrows won the Turner Cup or the Calder Cup. I remember being so mad that they got the front page of the sports section below the fold. So this is what I'm talking about when I say we shouldn't have minor league teams because we're not a minor league city. I want everyone to celebrate. That having been said, those KC Mavericks fans, they were infested. They had a team to love, and I'll be real with you, I'm a little jealous of them. All right, so no idea if you can hear me, but the vibes here are pretty chill. There's one team store. Line is like forever. Saw the mascot. I'm wearing the opposing team's colors, so, you know, didn't get the best of reactions. But man, this is nice, and you already know where I'm going with all this, which is there's no reason we can't have an arena like this in our town. Not that I don't appreciate Deep South and the Bulls coming, but we're even better than an ECHL town, and it's bizarre that we're not, you know. The East Coast, Kansas City, you know. Anyway, I'll check back.
So I didn't come back. I didn't bring a lot of recording equipment. There's only so much you could take in, and I didn't want to be the douche on his phone the whole time during a hockey game. But I said some things early in the recording that I want to keep because I said them. But my perspective changed in the couple of days since I've shot those first few videos. I'm a little down about there not being an announcement because I want my town to be talked about in the same sentence as the other major cities that are in the league. I want Houston to be a part of Detroit and Toronto and New York, and you get the idea. I'm not going to name all 32 cities. I use the word we a lot. A city of our stature, we deserve the best public facilities. We deserve the best in sports entertainment. We deserve the best buildings. And I'm not the only one who's noticed that we kind of get shortchanged for a city of our size. You have probably seen this article from the Houston Barnacle here. Why do our artists skipping Houston? And there's a lot of reasons why in here, but one of the things that it talks about, let me scroll down here. Where are our small venues? Well, you know, we had an AHL level arena, but the city sold it to Lakewood Church. But, you know, it's accurate. If we were to bring in an ECHL, hell, if we bring in the NHL, where are they going to play? Because Tillman's got a grip on that Toyota Center lease. So anyway, this is just me. You know, what happens if you build an arena and no one comes, like what happened to KC? What if you start planning and then you got to alter the plan so much that no one's taking you seriously anymore, like Tampa? I don't know, man. Maybe we'll hear something. Maybe we won't. Hey, did you notice that construction in Atlanta hasn't started yet? They got 2 plans. They got stuff approved. They got funding even. And they heard that $2 billion price tag. And they're like, hang on a minute. What does this mean for Houston? I don't know, but I'm going to keep looking. So keep tuning in if you want to keep looking with me. So Tuesday, playing lands. Wednesday is the Houston Bulls draft party. I'm going somewhere with this, as disjointed as my thoughts are. It was a great crowd when you put the qualifiers in that it's a crowd for the first event of a junior team. It's a draft party, and I don't know who any of these prospect players are. And oh yeah, the big part, it's 12:30 on a Wednesday. It was an opportunity to come together just and be around other hockey fans and other people that are just as excited as you are about a team coming. And that got me thinking. That got me thinking that I'm looking at things wrong. And I probably will again. And yeah, I still want to be part of something bigger. I think that's human nature. But those Mavericks fans, they weren't obsessed with empty seats in the arena. They weren't complaining, oh, the Royals are getting a new freaking stadium and market area. And, no one cared. They were having a fantastic time. Rock and Roll All Night played every time they scored a goal. Sidebar, the goal song for a Houston team, whether NHL or NAHL or whatever, Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers by ZZ Top. It needs to be a Houston-based band. And don't tell me one of those Screwston rappers. No. But anywho, everyone was partying, having a good time. And yeah, sure, it's easy to love your team when they're winning, but I don't think that's what I witnessed. So I don't know, man. I'm not saying I'm not going to obsess anymore, because of course I am, but I need to appreciate more that, hey, we got something cool coming. It's going to be roughly about a third of the price of ECHL. I mean, it's enough. It's cheap enough where we can afford season tickets, and that small group nature of things kind of feels like a cool kids club. And there's no reason to care what the outside world is doing. You know what I mean? Friends and neighbors, whenever I think to do this, I ask, what did we learn today? And I think what I learned is a shift in perspective. We want to be bigger. And yes, we deserve to be on the same stage as major cities that are in the league. But it's not going to dampen our enjoyment. And with that, friends and neighbors, till next time, we out.
Oh, fuck me. Editing is a wonderful thing.